Hiya folks, how's it going? My name is Lexi and I really love tabletop games. So much so that we sit down together once a week, every week here at the gaming table, and we review one. Though today we are slightly breaking with tradition and I will be reviewing 2 games in one episode. I have quite a fair backlog of games that have been sent to me to review, and I happened to get 2 from the same game creator, so I thought I'd pop them into one video together, so hopefully I can move through my backlog a little faster. Fingers crossed. I do really appreciate when folks reach out to me asking me if I would like to review a game they've made. I mean, not only does it give me a game to review, but it can often lead me to discovering games that I might not have had the opportunity to read and enjoy otherwise. If you have made a game and you would like to see it on the gaming table, you can reach out to me using the email address in the description box below. I will be transparent, I do have quite a backlog of games that have been sent to me, so it may be a couple of months in between when you reach out to me to when I get a review out, but I'm always at least keen to hear what you've been working on. If you just enjoy these reviews, or you would like to see more of them, please feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. If you would like to do something extra special for the gaming table, there is a link in my description box to my Ko-Fi page where you can donate to the channel. There's no need to, it's just deeply appreciated. Every single one of those donations goes straight back into the running costs of the channel, so it is really helpful. I'm going to be having a bandage of some kind for the next month or so of reviews. I happened to do something really stupid and I cut my hand with a box cutter. I'm totally a-okay, it's been seen to, but I'm so sorry if the white bandages on my hand get a bit distracting. Today we're taking a look at 2 games from Christian Malik. This is Dungeon Crawler and definitely not Doppelgangers. There will be beasties, treasures, and probably a trap or 2 to deal with. Once the group has moved through all the different rooms of the dungeon, they'll come across to the last room, where there'll be a big bad to fight and a big pile of treasure for them to collect. The setting for this dungeon is generally going to be your classic fantasy tabletop role-playing game setting. You can absolutely change that up if you would like to and tweak the flavor. This game is played using a standard deck of playing cards. The first thing when you're setting up the game, you take your deck of cards and you split the deck up between the face cards, jokers, queens, etc., and the number cards. Then your group sits down together and create characters. You do this by describing their general archetype and what they look like. This is a game where the manual is the GM in a way, so you can play this one with a group of friends and either one person can act as a facilitator or you can each take turns reading out loud the instructions from the game manual. When exploring the dungeon, your group draws cards from the various decks, and this is what determines what kind of obstacle or threat or setting they encounter. To play the game, the players draw cards from the different decks. These cards will come to represent what dangers and obstacles are in the room, as well as what rewards there are for the characters to reap. So once you've determined what is in this room of the dungeon, the players will then draw cards from the deck to try overcome the obstacle. Your group then repeats this exercise to travel throughout the various rooms of the dungeon until they make it to the final room. In the final room, the game manual provides you some slightly altered instructions for what to do. I think changing up the rules for the final room in the dungeon helps demonstrate the level of threat or the climax of the story. The game concludes in the final room. Players use cards to vote to decide if their group overcomes the obstacle in the room, or if they've had way too many setbacks on this adventure and they're just not going to make it through to that last stage. I do wonder if a group of players is going to be more tempted to voting towards everyone succeeding, or if a group of players is going to want to genuinely engage with the storytelling and allow their group to be defeated for a good story. What do you think? Something I really like about the Dungeon Crawler's rule booklet is that it states that throughout the adventure, regardless of if the characters successfully defeat the beastie or trap in the previous room, they still make it onto the next room for the adventure. To me, this demonstrates that not every part of the adventure is going to be a victory. Rather, it could be that your group decides to cut their losses and run. If you're looking for a game of really quick dungeon exploration, then I think this could be a really fun idea. If you're looking for a game for some fast dungeon exploration, this is going to be a really fun game to pick up. This game plays really fast, and I can see it being a really good fit for, say, a low-key evening of games, or perhaps even if you're running a game at a public event. You want to run lots of games quickly, potentially so lots of people can try out tabletop role-playing games. Of course, for some people, what I've just praised about the game is going to make it unappealing to them. Some people are looking for games that are going to give them years-long campaigns, whereas this game manual in this little zine isn't going to do that. So the next game we are talking about is definitely not Doppelgangers. In this game, players are doppelgangers who've stolen a real person's identity. While doing this, they need to avoid raising suspicion and getting called out by other characters in the world for being a doppelganger. The game manual suggests that this game be set in a generic fantasy realm, kind of similar to Dungeon Crawlers, but I can imagine if you wanted to, you could change that backdrop up. One thing the game manual does note is while doppelgangers tend to be excellent at imitating people, the one thing they can't do is magic, and that tends to mean that they choose not to take on the identities of magic users. If they do, they're going to have to do a lot of sleight of hand and distracting to try convince people that they are using magic. If your doppelganger is busted, their true form is revealed. It's kind of grey and creepy looking. So the time that you bring out dice to roll in this game is when the doppelganger is having their identity questioned or suspicion aroused. In these scenarios, the player rolls 2d20s. You add the result of these 2d20s together and you hope it meets your suspicion score. This starts at 15. If you don't meet the suspicion score, your suspicion score goes up. This means the more time that you add suspicion, the harder it is for your doppelganger to maintain their hidden identity. If your doppelganger is discovered, they are going to be vanquished by the nearest do-gooder. I was a little bit fuzzy on the setting for definitely not doppelgangers. I guess I didn't quite get the idea of a classic fantasy tabletop role-playing game setting straight away when I was reading the game manual. Ultimately, though, I think this means the setting can change with the story you would like to tell. You might want to change out magic to, say, high technology, if you wanted to do a pure science fiction setting, or you might reflavor what kind of fantasy setting your game takes place in. I was thinking that a game of definitely not doppelgangers would be really funny to play in a high political intrigue setting, or maybe in like a heist story. A situation where suspicion tends to be really high, so maybe you're banking on people being suspicious of something else and not your identity. The game is about a tense scenario made even tenser by different doppelgangers working together. I did really enjoy in the game manual that there's this little detail at the end that if your group or a doppelganger gets away successfully with what they do, they can select an identity of one of the characters in the game session to take on next time. It could be an NPC, but it could also be a player character, which to me is really funny because it means that that player character is sort of being portrayed over multiple sessions in a game of telephone. I do think this game is pretty easy to play. I think whether or not a group is going to warm to it as a concept is really going to depend on how you sell it. I think introducing some kind of interesting scenario for a game of definitely not doppelgangers is going to make it even more appealing to a group. I do think the game leans towards comedy, but that doesn't mean there isn't going to be tension. Tension and comedy really go hand in hand. So Dungeon Crawlers and Definitely Not Doppelgangers retail for $15 each if you would like a physical and a print copy, and you can get those from the Indie Press Revolution website. I'm not entirely sure at the moment how you would get a physical copy internationally. These are pretty slim zine games though, so I think it's absolutely an option that you can purchase a digital copy of the game and print them on some simple A4 paper to play them with your friends. So those were my thoughts on these two games, Dungeon Crawlers and definitely not Doppelgangers. What do you think of them? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. While you are there, please feel free to like this video and maybe even share it with a friend who would find it interesting. If you would like to keep up with the gaming table, please feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. This will let YouTube know to tell you when I've next uploaded. Interacting with these videos is a huge help to the channel as it brings more people to the channel. If you would like to go the extra special mile and do something really helpful for the gaming table, there is a link in my description box to my Ko-Fi page where you can donate to the channel. I put a short little thank you at the end of my videos to everyone who's donated in the previous month. There's no pressure to, and all of those donations go straight back into the running costs of the channel. If you have made a game and you would like to see it on the gaming table, you can reach out to me using the email address in my description box down below. I'm not always the best at getting back to people straight away, but I promise I'll do my best to get back to you all as soon as I can. I want to thank Christian Malik for reaching out to me to provide me a copy of Dungeon Crawlers and definitely not Doppelgangers. They were a heap of fun to review. I want to thank you all again for watching and discussing today's games with me. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!